I was younger, my mother always told me to eat lots of fish. She told me that fish would make me smarter, stronger, taller, and above all, make me, but not the fish, happy. So being an obedient child, I followed her advice. However, my instilled, romanticized view on fish was crushed when I learned in science class that fish can contain toxins. I know that my science teacher is almost always factually correct when it comes to anything scientific. I also know that my mother would never tell me anything that she did not believe to be true in the first place. I was then stuck in a dilemma. Should I listen to my science teacher who was telling me about the formation of toxic chemicals in fish as a result of ocean pollution? Or should I listen to my mother, who was telling me about how fish can make me happy? Confused, I did a little bit of research. However, instead of finding a simple answer, I found a much greater problem. In 1997, a new continent was discovered. Now, this new continent is unlike any other. It is unable to sustain any life, no fish, no plants, no birds. It smells rather bad, similar to the smell of your garbage can. And it gets bigger and bigger every second. By this time, some of you may have guessed that this new continent is called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is located halfway between Hawaii and California. According to the Ocean Cleanup, a foundation supported by the government of the Netherlands, the garbage patch is estimated about 1.6 million square meters, about 2 times the size of Texas, or 3 times the size of France. It contains about 8.4 million tons of garbage, the equivalent of 1,764,426 truckloads of pineapples. And the number is getting bigger every year. I was very disturbed by this finding, and I wonder if you feel the same as I. However, I was unable to figure out the impact that this would have on us. Here in Canada, we have access to some of the cleanest water, the freshest air, and the safest food. After further investigation, I discovered that whatever happens in the oceans will have a huge impact on the people living on land, primarily through the seafood that we eat. Toxins can be found in convenient items that we use every day. For example, plastic water bottles contain bisphenol A, a harmful chemical. This chemical is released into the water where the plastic is dumped into the ocean, where it breaks down to microplastics, not only absorbing mercury, lead, and cadmium, but also allowing processes such as bioaccumulation and biomagnification to take place. Bioaccumulation is essentially the buildup of chemicals in an organism. This can be done by ingesting a contaminated substance. Ingestion of plastic can be deadly to animals. And sadly, it is something that happens very often. An estimate about 98% of albatrosses, a type of seabird, have plastic in their stomachs. In 2013, scientists found a sperm whale that died of an intestinal blockage as a result of ingesting 57 pieces of plastic waste. Biomagnification is when a toxic chemical increases as it moves up the food chain. A toxic chemical may start at a low amount in the original organism that took it in, but when that organism is eaten, the amount of toxins increase. By the time it gets to the seafood that we humans consume, the amount of toxins are high enough to harm us. Research has found that mercury, lead, and cadmium can cause Parkinson's disease, memory loss, and cancer. Exposure to BPA can cause cancer, arthritis, and weight gain. And get this, a recent study found that BPA can lower the amount of vitamin D in a person's bloodstream, harming a person's muscles and bones. What we are throwing into the ocean is coming back to stab us in the back. As an unfortunate coincidence, soon after I finished my research, my mom cheerfully announced, "Fish for dinner." walked in the kitchen as usual and saw a steaming plate of fish sitting on the table. And all I could think about was that gigantic patch of garbage dripping toxins into the ocean. I'm sure you can all imagine what it's like facing a serving of fish soon after discovering the toxins in them. So all of this is obviously very bad, but it doesn't have to go on this way. There are multiple potential solutions to the problem of ocean garbage. Some of you may be thinking, why can't we just go out there and scrape the garbage off the ocean? It is unfortunately not that easy. As I've talked about previously in my speech, plastics break down to microplastics, making it extremely difficult to simply scoop out. So what can be done? There are many things that we can do on three main levels: government efforts, company efforts, and individual efforts. The government needs to make new laws limiting the distribution of plastic products. In Kenya, anyone found using, distributing, or selling a plastic bag faces up to 4 years in prison, or a $38,000 fine. The government also needs to implement taxes on companies purchasing from plastic vendors, deterring them from using as much plastic in their products. Companies also play a huge role when it comes to protecting the environment. There are a lot of things that companies sometimes do that may seem slightly needed. For example, a company claiming that their potatoes are less waste individually plastic wrap their potatoes. Another company somehow believes that coconuts don't have their own protective shells and insists on placing them in plastic boxes. Companies need to be more aware of the responsibility for protecting the environment. We, as global citizens and consumers, should also be pitching in by reducing plastic in our daily lives. In order to become more knowledgeable on the problem of ocean garbage, I signed up for a volunteering trip to Costa Rica. Throughout the trip, I discovered that plastic can be found in the most remote and well-protected areas of the country. I also learned, by naming tree protectors, that everything in the ecosystem is interconnected. I was surprised that trees, living things that reside on land, will be able to help the ocean. A prime example of such a relationship are mangrove trees. The dense root system in mangrove forests trap plastic flowing down the rivers, preventing them from entering the ocean. There are also a lot of things that you can do to help. It can be as simple as bringing your own reusable bag and shopping in the bulk section at the grocery store. When people think about the oceans, they usually think about beautiful, blue, sparkling water, not a tub of garbage. In order for the problem of ocean garbage to be solved, we need to adopt the slogan, refuse, reduce, and reuse. Fish are a very important source of food and nutrients for the human race. But in order to continue consuming such a fine delicacy, we need to protect our oceans and keep them clean. Hopefully, the next time that you're sitting in front of a plate of fish, you'll be happy about the positive impact you have made on the environment, be free of the worries of toxins, enjoying your meal to the full. Thank you.